also about the name. It's a marketing and also what is called research method in pharmaceutical marketing. So there will be 2 remaining courses or subject will be delivered by Dr. Long Jiaming within next week, I think. Or the pattern will be next week and the next following week. So without further ado, I will give the chance, the opportunity to Dr. Long Jiaming. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Andy. Yeah, hi everyone. So it's good to see everyone here today. So for the next 2 hours, I will divide my sessions into the 3 parts. So the first part will be talking about the medicine registrations with a special interest on the traditional medicines. And then we will also look into what is the ASEAN perspective, mainly tackling the SCTD. I will explain what is the SCTD. And also then second part will be on the cosmetic, which is also part of the regulatory framework under the drug and medicines. And then the third part, then I will do the simulations of online registration system. So this one will be based on the Malaysia Quest 3 system for under, which is managed by the MPRA. I'll explain later who is this MPRA. So please feel free to stop me at any time if you have any questions. Also, as part of your module, there will be a small written assignment, individual assignments, which I will announce at the end of today's lectures. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, I hope everyone can see my screen and also hear me well. So just to highlight a bit of the work experience, like most of you also was trained as a pharmacist, and then I was a registered pharmacist in Malaysia, and then I have currently I'm working at the University Brunei Darussalam, which is one of the ASEAN country. And then so the case example I'll show also based on what is in the Brunei and also Malaysia. Why is it necessary to have legislations and control, not just for medicines, but also in other aspects of our life, including your drivings, okay, including any other part of your daily activities, is all governed by the regulations to make sure there is a systematic way in the society. So let's take a look at the legislations and regulations of medicines. So the legislation is required to regulate the activities of regarding medicines use right from the import export until this post-marketing surveillance. Okay, we will quickly touch on those aspects later on under the SCTD requirements. Okay, it is applied to both government and public sectors. So obviously some of the regulations apply only in private sectors and some in the government. So you have to look at the context. So the law is necessary to prevent poor quality, ineffective products and harmful ingredients in the country. As I also read from the news currently in Indonesia, there's a few cases of toxicities that may be suspected from the pediatric preparations. So that's why there is a recall procedures to make sure that we can trace back which batch of the product is having issues or should be recalled. So also we learned that several products, for example, losartan, ranitidines, have found containing carcinogenic item, even though the content is very low, but over prolonged exposure might be harmful for the user. Okay. And then we also know that cosmetic, which is widely used, including myself, also use a cosmetic for all sorts of reasons. And the control of a cosmetic, the surveillance of some cosmetic is conducted from time to time because the cycles of a cosmetic is quite short. So we have the second part of our today's seminar will be on the cosmetic. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, the regulations are in place to ensure that the responsibilities, qualifications, right and role of each parties are well defined. Who are those parties involved, including the medical practitioner, doctors, pharmacists, okay, including the drug regulatory authorities, okay. I'll mention the example of the drug regulatory authorities in different countries, okay, in my following slides. So what are the activities that being governed or controlled or regulated? So as mentioned earlier, start from manufacturing, importation, exportations, marketing, prescribing, dispensing, distributions of the product, and then the enforcement of the law, which like for example, the enforcement officers, under what condition they can charge the distributors or product holders for not following the regulations. Okay. So in this case, then we can make sure that or the health authorities can make sure that only safe, effective, and quality product are being produced. Not just there's a fourth element also. Now we are looking at the cost, okay, cost or effectiveness, okay, which is also part of the assessment done for the formulary management. Okay, this is the summary of what I have gone through the previous slides. Okay, what are the elements of drug registrations? Okay, what should be regulated? In this case, not just the product, okay, but also the company, the premises, which is either the clinic or the hospitals or the pharmacy. Okay, who regulate? Not just the health authority that have the full responsibilities, but also, like for example, we as a healthcare professionals need to report, for example, if there is any ADR. Okay. Okay, scope and extent of regulations. This is at the macro level today. We are looking at the ASEAN setting or Southeast Asia, but under each country also they have their own regulatory law systems, okay, which I'll give one example later on. Okay, sanctions wise, in terms of the approvals, so it go back to the which laws that being applied. Like for example, in Brunei there is a medicine order, or in the Malaysia there is a poison act. Okay, or we also a dangerous drug act, looking at the which aspect of the therapeutic goods. Okay, so like for example, I was at the Bangkok last month, and then started in the mid, if I'm not mistaken, May this year. So cannabis was legalized in the whole Thailand. Okay, so I have a chance to visit one of the cannabis plantations. Got very excited because this is the first time I see a real cannabis plant. But if I were to bring not just the product, or either it could be the dry leaf of the cannabis, unprocessed leaf of the cannabis, or the extract in whatever form. Okay, if it's above 500 grams, and I will be liable to be charged under the Malaysia registrations, and the penalty, if once convicted, it could be a death penalties. So that is the sometimes we hear from news that some of the capital punishments was implemented for drug trafficking. So if you see the quantity, 500 grams is small, very small. And then so for the drug trafficking, the current Dangerous Drug Act have heavy penalties. But whereas in Thailand, it's fully legalized. You can literally buy it at they have it at the root store also, selling the dry cannabis. Okay, so you have to look at the country or geographic locations. So this is the presentation outlines of my following for the next 1.5 hours. So, okay, I would like to quickly touch on also why for a pharmacist or apotheker, having a degree in pharmacy is important in terms of prepare us for a career in regulatory affair or regulatory sciences. Okay. Also touch on the ACTD, ASEAN Common Technical Dossier, explain what is the dossier involved, and then today's focus on the medicine registrations in Southeast Asia, particularly in ASEAN country. Okay, focusing mainly on the traditional medicines. I'll explain why I choose traditional medicines over other products. Okay, so also very important due to the huge market in the cosmetics. Okay, we were going to discuss about the regulations of cosmetics under the ASEAN Common Network. So the first part, career in regulatory, which is fit in the current students attending this seminar online. Okay, so you are taking this as part of your career pathway. You can focus on the regular affair, and if you look at the LinkedIn, okay, if you specifically look at Indonesia also, there are plenty of jobs involved in the regulatory affair. Why is it so? Yeah, because there is the huge demands for healthcare, and also it's part of the registrations process. You need someone which is knowledgeable and well-versed to manage, not just during the import-export registrations, and also post-marketing surveillance. Okay, which we are very fit well into the this role, because our training specifically not just on the drug, also on the formulations, and also on the public health affair, public health area. So just to illustrate why the regulatory affair department or regulatory affair officers needed, mainly is to bridge between the manufacturer or pharmaceutical companies and also the health authorities, the government agency, in this case, drug control authorities. Okay. So what are the objective of regulatory affair? First part is on the developments, making sure there is a rapid or timely approvals of the medicines. The one example will be the COVID-19 vaccines, which is conditional registration was given in approval was given in the record times in most countries, to make sure that the populations or general public have quick access to COVID-19 vaccines, okay, due to the serious effect of the coronavirus infections. Okay. Also on the, not just on the approval sites, after approvals, there are a lot more things that need to be done in which is part of the life cycle management. I'm not going to touch on too much on the life cycle management, but the compliance is a key factor. I'm going to show as well a flow chart on the compliance. Yeah, sorry. So now the looking at the bigger horizons, the global at the global area, we also have a global regulatory strategies. For example, all these big pharma companies, they have the branches in the most of the countries, and then they also have the managed by the global affairs. So this is, we are looking at the harmonizations of the regulations. Okay, the example they're going to show you is based on the ASEAN settings. Okay, what will be the knowledge of regulation and the guidance are very important, including what are the requirements for all these registrations, legislations, and also what will be the potential opportunities that can give rise from the global affair. Okay, so from the therapeutic point of view, we are very well versed about the pharmacological use, therapeutic use, and its response to the patient in terms of clinical trial, looking at the safety and also the efficacies aspect. Okay, and for the submission of the dossier also, we have the non-clinical and the clinical data that need to be submitted. And then in terms of the, so looking at, for example, the drug aspect, the mechanism of actions, risk and benefit of the products. Okay, also lately, okay, the several guidelines, for example, NICE guidelines, they also look into the costing aspect. Okay, and looking also at the budget impact analysis of the product to make sure that each countries can optimize their resources for the benefit of the general public. Okay. So what are the typical activities of officers or a consultant in regulatory affair? Okay, so they will be given or handles a few therapeutic products. Okay, depends whether either you are handling a biologic products or certain therapeutic areas, for example, cardiovascular or oncology. Okay, then you have to follow up or keep abreast with the latest updates of those products and any latest evidence. Okay. And for the submissions, then you have to have meetings among your group members on the preparation of the dossier, okay, at the tiny manners, because to make sure that not just registered, but also will be renewed from time to time. Okay, because the registration have a timeline, it will lapse. Okay, normally it will be between 3 to 5 years of a registrations approval timeline. Okay, so in term, apart from that, they involve a lot of soft skills which your current courses also expose you to, for example, teamwork, communicating with a health authority. Okay, so for the assignments that I'm going to give you, it will be more on the looking at the standard operating procedures of the registration at different country outside Indonesia, looking at as to align with the global regulatory affair arena. So these are some examples of the regulatory authorities in the ASEAN country. The first one is the Badan Pengawasan, Badan Pengawas Obat and dan Makanan, Badan PON. Okay. The second one shown here is the National Pharmaceutical regulatory authorities, or in short, the MPRA. We also have this one is the Thai equivalent of FDA, they call it the Food and Drug Administration Thailand. Likewise, Philippines, they use a similar terminology also, Food and Drug Administration Philippines. Under Singapore is called Health Sciences Authorities. So all these represent the regulatory authorities, which there are other government sectors, representative of the Ministry of Health, looking at the drug approvals and also regulatory control and compliance. So on the other hand, we also have the drug companies, which is from the private sectors, which have to submit the registrations or permit for all the transactions involve drug use. Okay, now let's look at the ASEAN Common Technical Document. Why I would like to highlight this? This is the technical documents checklist, sort of checklist that each regulatory officers have to look into. So the common SCDD in a way is a good, it become a standardized document which can be used across a different country within ASEAN. So we're going to highlight some of the key points in my following slides. Okay. So under the Southeast Asia countries, apart from Timor-Leste, which is observer members, observers, those other members have been part of the ASEAN's. The latest one will be the Cambodia in 1999. So it's a very established consortiums looking into the welfare of the communities within each countries. Okay. So let's take a quick look on the different aspect of regulatory compliance. Because normally the assumption will be, okay, for product registrations, we are looking at the dosage form, the produce or the manufactured product. But beyond that, it's also for the technical dossier, we also have to include informations or quality as assurance documents of the active pharmaceutical ingredient and also the excipient itself. Okay. Okay. Also the GMP aspect of the good manufacturing practice certifications of the manufacturer. Okay. And also in terms of the clinical studies done, mostly done by the clinical research office or organizations. Okay. And if it's a generic product, whether the bioequivalence studies have been conducted. Okay. And then those regulatory dossiers have to be prepared. Okay. If it's under the looking at the different regions, you have, if let's say, for example, if it's already registered in some certain PICS countries, then the registrations process could be expedited or can be facilitated. Okay. Then after registration doesn't mean that you are free to drug company are free to sell it. Also, we're looking at the post-approval changes. For example, any changes in terms of manufacturer country, manufacturer plants, or change in terms of the sources of API use. Okay, all this should be updated to the regulatory authorities. Okay. Just want to show the flow or standard operating procedures of registrations of a product. This includes for the traditional medicines, okay, investigational, a new anti-drug or MCE, new chemical entities, and also generic products. Okay. So if you can see the preparations of the dossier for this one will be all handles by the regulatory affair officers, and the next one will be on the submissions. Okay, after submissions, then will be review. Okay, the whole process, I don't think I have to go through one by one. So this is everyone have been quite well versed of the step and procedures, and the durations or the timeline involved differ from country to countries, and also differ from products. For example, new chemical entities sometimes will be more time consuming because they are looking at more documents required to support the approvals. Okay. Now, if we were to look into the several aspects of the dossier as well, okay, in terms of what is the dossier, in terms of its features, benefit, and applications, okay, in terms of the use or benefit of SCDD for the ASEAN economic communities, okay, so we're also going to examine what are the different categories or different subsections under the SCTD. Okay. What is the dossier? Sometimes I keep on mentioning it's somewhat like a monograph if you are preparing for the herbal monograph. Okay, it's a collections of a document of papers giving detailed informations about particular subjects. In these matters will be the product that need to be registered, okay, for a market to be marketed as the therapeutic goods in selected country. Okay, why it is important to have a common dossier? Okay, so it can help to the officers, and also not just for the regulatory affairs officers, but also for the healthcare authorities to check what are the given documents and also the content. Okay, so it's sometimes it could be very comprehensive. I mean, it have to be comprehensive. Sometimes it could be quite thick in term. So now with the use of online submissions, so we can cut down on the use of papers. Okay, because sometimes it involve communications in terms of where there is raised inquiries about the submitted dossier, then you have to provide supplementary informations. Okay. So when it's submitted, it should be as a structures, unified documents with a proper heading or categories. Sometimes some of the informations are put in tables, okay, or graph to make sure that, that it will be easier to compare. Okay. So as I mentioned, the combinations of the same contents, it will be easier than for the officers or for the submissions officers to trace back what are the given informations, especially now this is all using online submissions. Okay. And also for the auditing purpose, looking at whether to trace back what will be the given, like for example, the stability data, is it sufficient or not? Okay, or is it need to be done? Is it the data, is it obsolete? Okay, so this will be easily traceable. So the dossier also, as I mentioned just now, under we have the nationals at the global levels. For the global levels, we will follow the WHO formats. Okay. As these are the current ASEAN requirements under the there's another one. I mean, it's also called ASEAN Common Technical Requirements or ASEAN Common Technical Dossier. Okay, the objective, as I described previously, to develop harmonization schemes of pharmaceutical regulations. Okay, of the among the ASEAN member to complement and facilitate the objective of AFTA, particularly the eliminations of technical barriers to trade. So in a way, it expedite, okay, the regulatory work across different ASEAN countries. Okay, bear in mind there are some countries that impose additional documents also, but this ACDD serve as a common item that the regulatory affairs officers able to follow or comply. So as I mentioned, this is agree upon common format for the registrations of pharmaceuticals currently for human use, but the veterinary products also later I show you in the during the simulations. Okay, so then there will be significant time and resources reductions, okay, in order to comply the applications. Okay, and also it facilitate the communications and review process. So bear in mind the guidelines sometimes serve as appropriate write-up format. It doesn't mean that you will not required to provide further information beyond what is stated under the ACTD. Now let's take a few minutes to go through some of the some parts under the SDGs. So it is divided mainly into 4 parts, part 1 to part 4. Okay, let's let's look at it one by one. So under part 1, it shows the mainly administrative informations and prescribing informations. Okay, what are the administrative documents or information prescribing information required? For example, the designated application forms, the labels in the local language is required. Okay, because sometimes the manufacturer country, I mean from the manufacturer, the label is in other languages, so the national language sometimes or English is imposed. I mean should be included. Okay, the product data sheet, okay, which is the prescribing informations, okay, should be included also. And then let's look at the part 2, the quality document. Okay, is further divided into section A, B, C. First one is the table of content, which is list down what are the information given. Okay, quality overall summaries, including the stability informations. Okay, the API. Okay, the body of data. Then part 3 under the non-clinical documents, including, for example, the pharmacological informations, the or the collected pharmacokinetic data and toxicology data. Okay. Then moving on under sections D, there is this further informations the report that in the prescribed format that should be included. Okay. And last, looking at the part 4, which is one of the key aspects to be examined, especially for the MCE. Okay, this is the clinical documents. So mainly the results from the clinical trial, different phases of clinical trial, okay, including the summary of biopharmaceutics and analytical methods, okay, including the products and also the raw ingredients, Okay, the clinical pharmacological study done, the efficacy safety data. Okay, so this one will sometimes will mostly are very comprehensive data include. So there is a lot of further details to be discussed if looking at the part 4 clinical documents. Okay, then followed by the section D and F looking on the clinical study report. It could be a published data, okay, in the medical journals, and also the other key literature references, including those from the newer evidence or the observational studies. Okay. So I've done on the common informations on the STD. So let's look at the one examples using Brunei Darussalam. Okay, what are the registrations requirements for different type of products? I guess everyone know that Brunei Darussalam is, in terms of the population size, is relatively smaller if compared with Indonesia. So the overall populations is around 500,000 only, whereas we know, and for the registrations requirements is further divided into in Brunei Darussalam settings. Okay, 3 categories. The first one is the medicinal products. So it's compulsory to be registered. This include the prescribed and non-prescribed medications. Okay, including all your like antihypertensive, analgesic. This is in compliance with the Medicine Order 2007 law. This specific legislations. Okay. So for notifications of cosmetic item, so the term notifications is commonly used for cosmetics rather than registrations. Okay, the notifications sometimes give a connotations that the requirement is less stringent compared with a pharmaceutical product. Okay, the law involved is the medicines cosmetic product regulations. Okay, which is also part of, I mean, not part, it follows the ASEAN cosmetic directive. So I is going to explain in further detail later on in the second part of my seminars. Okay, so that means for a cosmetic product, which include the shampoos or lipsticks, okay, that it need to be notified in order to be sold in the country, or including its importations. Okay, now let's look at the third categories: traditional medicines and health supplements. Okay, this include all the herbal products, okay, vitamins, minerals. Okay, compare with other ASEAN country at the moment, okay, the registrations is not made compulsory in Brunei. Okay, there's no pre-market approvals, no licensing required by the Department of Pharmaceutical Service. Department of Pharmaceutical Service is the health regulatory agencies. Like for example, the Badan POM in the Indonesia. The dealer, however, have given entrusted with the responsibility to make sure that the product being imported and sold by them are safe and with high qualities. Okay, because if there's any ADR reported, then they will trace back to the who will be the importers or distributor in the country. Okay, so that's why if you have the chance to visit Brunei Darussalam, if you go to the drug stores, you can find all sorts of different health supplements and traditional medicines all over the world. Quite high numbers actually are from manufactured in Indonesia. Okay. which are also very popular among locals. Okay. So the authorities, as I mentioned, the Brunei Darussalam Medicines Control Authority serve as the approved or government authorities in the which is the committee members lah. They have a committee members looking at the approvals of the product registrations. But who will be the secretariat? The secretariat is the pharmacist at the Department of Pharmaceutical Service. Okay. So the officers are the one who handling registrations of the product and the notification of cosmetic, how to process the license involved in the manufacture of pharmaceutical goods in Brunei, and also import on wholesales within the Brunei Darussalam. They also have a specific assigned officers looking at the surveillance activities within the country. So if you look at the overall under the Department of Pharmaceutical Services, there's this traditional medicine and health supplements unit. Okay. Ultimate aim, as I mentioned in the legislation framework, to make sure the product is safe and also effective and also good qualities. Okay. So they also handle the application or importations. Okay. It's not compulsory for the registrations, but for import, then you have to fill in certain documents to be imported into the countries. Okay. So if you're keen to, let's say, work on the importing products, health supplements or traditional medicines into Brunei, okay, it's a good market there also. You can look at the website on this gov.bm businesses, which you can find those application form for the importations. Okay. And also, as we have described earlier, what are the, if you were to proceed for the registrations at current point, is not compulsory, but you can do, you are encouraged to do the registrations. Then you can look at the what are the ASEAN technical document, the SCDD that I mentioned. Okay. So these are the guidelines being developed for the specific applications for the importations and sales of traditional medicines and health supplements in Brunei Darussalam. Okay. So let's take a step back and look at the market demands for herbal medicinal products or herbal preparations. Okay. The market is booming. Okay. If you look at the specifically at the South Asia or Southeast Asia's sections, the one in brown and the dark gray color. Okay. So we are actually belongs to the category of developing manufacturing sectors. Okay. It's part of the developing countries activities or okay. So globally, look, the herbal medicinal products markets is valued at USD 171 billion. So it's still growing. Having said that, I'm sure everyone is very well aware of the among your relative or family members, the herbal products, not just for maintenance health or treatments, is quite prevalent. And one thing is there are different specific categories of herbal products. Also, it could be the Indonesian traditional medicine, the jamu. It could be the Ayurveda, okay, the Unani medicines. Okay, it's different categories, but it's also fall under, mainly categorized under the herbal medicinal products. So which bring me to the definitions of herbal or traditional product, or sometimes also called traditional medicine or natural products. Okay, which like this one I took the definitions from the Brunei Darussalam Medicines Order. So the product used in the practice of indigenous medicines, okay, in which traditional medicines, in which the medicine solely with one or more natural occurring substances or plants. It could be processed or in the crude format. So if you look at the definition, it's slightly different from country to countries, but these definitions is seems like more towards the jamu or herbal, local herbal preparations. But there is another aspect of it, which is it come in the pharmaceutical dosage form with claims. Okay, so it could be a tablet or capsules or granules or in the tea bag, okay, ready to be administers either through waters, okay, or mainly through orals, because it is in terms of the technology involved, it is not as demanding. Okay, now let's take a quick look at the different countries within ASEAN. I pick 5 countries here, mainly just to highlight what were the development for the last 20 years from different countries. Okay, let's look at the first country, Cambodia. Okay, which is the last member. I mean, the most recent. Back in 1999, in fact, who joined ASEAN. Okay, there is a national policy on traditional medicines or complementary alternative medicines issued by the Health Authority in 1996. Okay, and then the corresponding regulations was issued in 1998. Okay, so the herbal product are regulated similar to the non-prescribed medications or OTCs. Okay, similar to Brunei, the Cambodia follows the common ACTDs, okay, for registration of pharmaceutical products. To date, there are more than 48 registered herbal products in the country. This could be more because this might not be updated. Okay, but those herbal product is not included in the national essential drug list. The national essential drug list, which is the common medicines, which is essential medicines, will be used in the hospitals. Okay, it includes all sorts of, for example, it could be certain antibiotic or certain for emergency or critical treatments. Okay, so it can be sold in the pharmacy and over the counters. Okay, and I have visited Cambodia before, and the pharmacy is very well developed there, and was also handled by a pharmacist, and you can get a lot of imported product. They also have a local manufacturer medicines in by the Cambodia. Okay, let's take a quick look as well from the perspective of Malaysia. Okay, there's a national policy on traditional medicines, which is launched in the 2001. Okay, the law involved will be the CDCR, or Control of Drug and Cosmetic Regulations, which is being passed by the Parliament in 1984, which have been enforced since then. Okay, so if you suggested by the name, it's also include the cosmetic regulations of cosmetics, and also including dietary supplements, which are health supplements. Okay, So like other countries, the traditional medicines are also able to be sold just like the OTC products. Okay. Without, it can be sold to the public without any prescriptions. So either it can be sold at the grocery stores, okay, or at the medical hall. Okay. Let's look at another neighbors within the ASEAN country, the Philippines. Okay. Similarly, there's a national policy on traditional medicine issued in 1997. Okay, the regulation of herbal products then was in fact issued much more earlier in 1984. Okay, is the herbal medicines are regulated as somewhat similar as a OTC product or non-prescribed medications. Okay, so it have a separate registration system for herbal medicines in Philippines. Okay, and like other countries, it can be sold in the herbal stores or pharmacies as over-the-counter medicines. Okay, so the Philippines also follows its own drug registration format and also follow the ASEAN Common Technical Dossier Network framework. Okay, the last two countries that we're going to look at is Singapore and Vietnam. Okay, Singapore have its own national policy on traditional medicines issued in 1935. Okay, likewise, it's also regulated as OTC medicines. And similar to Philippines, the Singapore have its own drug registrations format and also it adapt the SCTD. Okay. And the traditional Chinese medicines also widely practiced there in Singapore, and so as part of the herbal medicines, as long as they comply with the national regulations issued by the health science authorities of Singapore. Sorry, I'm supposed to talk as well and on the Thailand. So the last two countries actually the Vietnam and Thailand. Okay, so for Vietnam, the law and regulations on the traditional medicines was issued in 1989. Okay. Interestingly, there are more than 250 herbal medicines included in the Vietnam National Essential Medicine list. This is back in the 1996. Okay. So it's widely adapted the herbal medicines as part of the national essential medicine, including along with the modern medicines. Okay. Okay. Lastly, let's look at the policies in Thailand. Okay. So the national policy and programs on the traditional medicines were issued in 1993. And then the Institute of Thai Traditional Medicines were officially established under the Department of Medical Science. Okay. So currently there are large selections of herbal medicine registered in Thailand. Okay, including if you go to the convenience stores, a lot of locally produced GMP certified products is available for sales. Okay. The latest development obviously will be as what I showed you just now, the legalizations of the cannabis use, not for recreational, but more for the medicinal therapeutic use. Okay. So very quickly, I also have one tables to show you on the comparisons of registration formats in terms of herbal medicines, comparing the Philippines, Malaysia, and SCTDs. As you can see, most of the aspects are very similar. So the SCTD serve as a very good framework in terms of aspect required. Okay, the information required, including the certificate analysis of the active pharmaceutical ingredients. Okay, stabilities of the product to demonstrate the shelf life of the medicines, the toxicology informations should be included. there's a lot more things ongoing at the ASEAN levels. For example, 4 days ago at Phnom Penh, there was this trade negotiations in the ASEFTA, the ASEAN China Free Trade Area. Okay, the head of countries then they met to go through some of the trade treaties and also negotiations between different countries. Okay, so what are the opportunities and challenges that lies ahead in terms of the regulatory affair and the product registrations? Okay, and as I mentioned, with the creations of different treaties, trade treaties, so the borders between different countries have slowly eroded. It means that the product manufactured in Indonesia now can be easily exported throughout the outside the Indonesia's, and not just for the not just the medicines, also the cosmetic, and then but in order to do so, the registrations aspect have to be fulfilled. That's why we also look at the regional harmonizations of the regulations or regulatory aspect to make sure that each member country will be able to close the gap, to make sure that the products, the therapeutic goods will be able to be channeled easily, and but by not compromising on the qualities and also safety and efficacy aspect of those products. Okay, I think I'm doing good in terms of timing. So let's so as I mentioned, this is the first part of my seminars. So the second part will be talking on a talk on the cosmetic, and also then I will demonstrate the online registration aspect of medicines. Okay, for your assignments, you're required to I'll send you the link. I forgot to add the link here. For your which includes the informations on your assignment, but briefly, you are required to choose random. You can choose, for example, let's say you are really interested to know further about the registrations aspect of medicinal product. In this case, traditional medicines in Myanmar, for example. Then you can choose Myanmar, and then you have to prepare the information in terms of the SOP or general aspect. I didn't expect you to give me a full detail because the whole process could be very lengthy, but at least tell me what will be the regulations, what will be the guidelines involved, and also the possible timeline, and then do they follow SCTD? I mean, to what extent SCTD is used for the product approval process. Okay. So now let's take a 5 minutes break. Meet you all again at 5 minutes past 2 your local time. Is that all right? Hi, welcome back, everyone. So let's move on to the second part of our discussions. So we'd like to highlight a bit on the use of cosmetics. So why cosmetic, as you know, is a very common product, also as part of our pharmaceutical products, and it's being used right from the hair gel, okay, your sunblock, sunscreens, to your shower gel. So it's a huge market there, and also the regulations is really need to be enforced, because there's a lot of I mean, for the manufacturer, the roach manufacturers, or those dishonest manufacturer, they tend to add the different unnecessary, or which include the registered poisons or registered item, for example, hydroquinones, okay, to make sure that to increase the effectiveness of the cosmetic product, but that is not allowed. So let's discuss why is it so. I saw there are two questions also. I will answer, look at the questions later at the end of our sessions. Thanks, everyone. So not just when we commonly the connotations, or when we think about cosmetic, then we thought about all these lipsticks, or as mascara. Okay, not necessary. It also includes, for example, your cream, your shower gel, moisturizers, which is also very important, even for the treatment, like for example, eczema or sunburn. Okay. Hang on, yeah. Okay, if you look at the one guideline shared by the Badan POM, so this was dated in the 2020. Okay, so it's also part of the cosmetic, also part of the under the jurisdictions of this the Badan POM. Okay, apart from the food, drugs, traditional medicines, health supplements, and natural products. Okay. Now, just a quick overview of we're going to look at the ASEAN Harmonized Cosmetic Regulatory Schemes, the ASEAN Cosmetic Directive, which is somewhat similar to the SCTD equivalent. Okay. Also, we'll be doing a cosmetic notification simulations, this one online, and highlighting a bit on the issues and challenges in terms of cosmetic developments and marketing in the various countries. The definition of cosmetic here, I took from the Control of Drug and Cosmetic Regulations, the CDCR, just now stated under the Malaysia sections. Okay, so let's look at the definitions. So it includes any substance or preparations to be in contact with external part of our human bodies. So this one doesn't involve for use, animal use. Okay, epidermis, hair, so it include all your lips, nails, hair gel, or lipsticks. Okay, including the hygiene's product. Okay, or the tooth care, dental care products, and also the spray. Okay, not just for cleaning, perfuming, changing appearance, correcting odors, or protecting them. So in terms of treatments, then this is fall under the categories of medicinal products. Okay, shouldn't be under the cosmetics. Okay. Let's take a quick look on the ASEAN Harmonized Cosmetic Regulatory Schemes, which is the general initiative as part of the ASEAN network. Okay, healthcare network. Okay, there was a agreement to work together as ASEAN consortiums to make sure that the safe, effective, and efficacy of cosmetic in the members country. So in a way, it can help to reduce the restriction in terms of trades between different members nations, and facilitate the free movement of cosmetic in the different member countries. Okay, it was signed back almost 20 years ago. Okay. So under the regulatory schemes, it include the Schedule A and Schedule B. Schedule A was not applicable anymore because now they're looking at each member country should do their own approvals. So for example, if you want to market your cosmetic in Brunei, then you have to do your notification approval in Brunei separately, like for example, and each member, I mean, then if you want to market it in Indonesia, you have to get the Indonesian authorities approvals. Okay. But this one was implemented, okay, the Schedule B. So all member country to implement the notification system using the ASEAN Cosmetic Directive. Okay. So let's look at what are the specific information should under the ASEAN Cosmetic Directive. Okay. So in totals, there are 12 aspects that need to be comply with. So start from the general provisions up to the implementations. Okay. Prefer to go in the details from the guidelines. So those under the cosmetic directive, they are in total 8 guidelines. Is it 7 guidelines that need to be adhered to? So let's look at the first one, the guideline for product information file. So under the current regulations for each product, then they should have a product information file, including all the product manufacturing processes, ingredients. Okay. Guideline for safety assessment of cosmetic products, looking at the safety aspect. Is there any additional tests done? All these are, bear in mind, it's not compulsory at the moment in terms of safety assessment. Okay. The labeling requirement, this one we have another slide looking at what are the information should be added on the packagings or the labels for the consumer knowledge, consumer readings. Okay. And in terms of the claims, can you say, like, for example, it can be used for the treatment of skin cancer? This is medicinal claim already. So as I mentioned, you should follow the definition just now. Anything outside the definitions of cosmetic, then it doesn't fall within the cosmetic category. Okay. For the GMPs for cosmetic, at the moment, not all countries make it compulsory for the GMPs for cosmetic. I mean, GMP manufacturing for a cosmetic product. For example, in Brunei, the cosmetic notified not necessarily have to be manufactured in the GMP certified facilities. Okay, but in Malaysia, yes, it is compulsory for the notified cosmetic to be manufactured in the GMP certified facilities. Okay. Guide for the adverse event reportings, for examples. Okay, in terms of recall requirements also included. And then there is also a sunscreen labeling guidelines for the sunscreen or sunblock product. Okay. So as part of under those guidelines, they have this annex, which is supplementary informations. This one will be include very specific informations, like for example, how much of the preservative can be included, or is there any, how much of the SLS can be added. There is a certain limit. So beyond those limit, it is not allowed. Okay. So under the Annex 2 until Annex 7, include all the informations that must be comply with, including the compositions of cosmetic product, what are the ingredients can be included, and then should not be included if it's for the cosmetic use, different type of coloring agents and preservative, okay, we type of UV filters that can be include for the sunscreen product. Okay, those information are needed to make sure that the product is product are safe. Okay. So overall, with the implementations of ASEAN Cosmetic Directive for the past 14 years, you can see that there is a shift in terms of or improvement in terms of the product trade cycles. That means it can be more easily marketed or imported among different member countries, and you can see there is a significant breakthrough also in terms of new product technologies, because there is a better in terms of easy access or marketings, increase the sales, which include increase indirectly the investment of the manufacturer into a newer product or more latest technologies. Okay. With the wider choice of cosmetic product, now you will see the more, not just sometimes they come with gold elements, or sometimes they have this different different fragrance or different nanotech product, which is claim we can help to improve the complexions of the users. Okay. And lastly, help to build the safety database, ingredient safety database, because of the harmonizations of this under the ASEAN Cosmetic Directive. Each member country, they can share their data on the common platform. Okay. So let's look at Article 1 or Phase 1 of this. Just now I've gone through, isn't it, the 12 articles of the ASEAN Cosmetic Directive. The first one, general. This one I just choose those important one in the interest of time. Not going to bore you too much on the details, which all this information I'll share the content later on via Dr. Andy. Okay, the company of person, place, that means the product or cosmetic marketing holder, okay, should, before it's being marketed, should notify, which means the notification process should be taken place before the product is marketed. That means it is against the law if it's a product of cosmetic is being marketed without prior notifications, okay, with the health authority. Just now, as I mentioned, it could be the Philippine FDA or Thai FDA. Okay. And the manufacturer should have the technical and safety informations accessible. Okay. Those, especially this one is relatively achievable because most of the product are generic based, meaning to say that it is priors the other products with the similar concentration of ingredients have been marketed before. Okay. Okay, this one is one of the aspect under the guidelines. What are the labeling requirements? So this one is, you can easily read or see from the product packaging. So product packaging should contain all these informations right from the product name and its functions up to the, for example, the manufacturing or expiry date should be given, and additionals statements, like for example, does it contain the a porcine origin or beef origins? Okay, and country of manufacturer also should be included. Like for example, is it made in Malaysia, manufactured in USA, or country of origin from Thailand, to indicate the original place of the manufacturer. Okay. So what are the distributors or the notification holder, the market holders responsibility, apart from make sure the cosmetic is notified prior to marketing? So to make sure that the manufacturer, they themselves might not be the manufacturer, they could contract us the engage with contract manufacturers to manufacture product, and then they become the product holder and then distribute the product in different countries. Okay, so they must ensure that all those guidelines as mentioned just now, okay, it is compliant, including the product information file. Make sure there is a mechanism to report the serious adverse event just in case there is such report. Okay. What about the manufacturer? Okay, manufacturer, they could be their product market holder themselves if they manufacture and sell, market it themselves, or there could be the contract manufacturers, or the term is used as a OEM manufacturers. So there is a guideline also for the ASEAN cosmetic GMP, which they have to follow such ISO specifications. Okay. Quality control of the chemical microbiological tests need to be conducted for the manufacturer product. Okay. And the appropriate labeling follow the guidelines that I have described earlier. Okay. And also there is such SOP in terms of handling complaint and adverse event. Okay, so this is at the manufacturer level. Okay, so another parties, this is from the public regulatory responsibilities. Okay, including, for example, the Badan PON or the MPRA. Okay, to ensure the safety and public health and safety, it is being safeguarded, including the post-marketing surveillance activity. This one's quite routinely done. That means that they will pick up those cosmetic product, and then they ask the marketing holder to provide the product, and then they will do further testing to see whether there is heavy metals, or to see to test for the microbiology test. Okay, or to check whether it contains any registered the poison, which is like, for example, the hydroquinones. Okay, so make sure that the system is well followed by the industry. Okay, not make sure that those serious adverse event will be well handled, and those product which is unnotified or have been deregistered, then there will be should be removed from the market. Okay, so this one quickly talk about, I put here Malaysia, actually apply to other country also. Yeah, for example, so the marketing holder, which is the company, normally it's a company. Okay, to make sure that the marketed product or cosmetic in this sense, to ensure safety, quality, and then the claim benefit does not over claim, like for example, used for the treatments of diseases, which is not allowed. Okay, so there is a certain advertising code that should follow. Okay, including for the online advertising, and then the or offline advertising. Okay. So this is the following the ASEAN guideline on the GMP, which also mentions. Okay. So information required during notifications. Okay, I would like to highlight this because I'm going to show you the online simulation later on because I have used one of my friend's account to demonstrate to you how these online registrations or online notifications is performed. Okay. So what are the information required during the notification process? Okay. I think we still have some times. Let's look at the. Yeah, we still have 30 minutes, so doing good in terms of timing. The particulars of a product, including the name and brands of the product itself. What are the product types? Is it the cream, suspensions, lipstick, shampoo? Okay, sunscreens. Okay, product presentations. Is it in the liquid or is it in the gel format? Okay, different variant or shape, including, like, for example, different coloring. Is it from the same product variant of same brand or different, for example, different color shape for the lipstick? Okay. Particular of the manufacturer assembler, then in this case, it should be GMP cosmetic GMP certified. Okay. Particulars of the local company responsible, which is the product marketing holders. Okay, what are the officers in charge of representing the companies, just in case when there is any issues they want to contact the company, then which officers there there can be the license. Okay, particulars are importers. This is, for example, imported product. So most frequently the product holder, also the importers. Full ingredient list. Okay, so including all the ingredient used for the preparation. So in this case, the Annex 3 also apply in terms of what is the maximum amount of the certain active ingredient or certain, for example, preservative that can be used. Okay, letter authorizations. This one, for example, if it's a contract manufacturing contract manufactured product, does the company have the authorization letters or some certain range of brand? Is it the marketing authorization given for the company in the, for example, the specific countries? Okay. So let's look at the. Let me stop sharing my screen now. But prior to that, maybe then I can quickly answer the questions. Thanks for the questions. Are very good questions. Actually, I have a quick look. So the first question is about the cannabis legalizations, or they call it decriminalizations in Thailand. Okay. Yes, I agree with you. There's is in terms of the safety. If it's overdose, what will be the consequences to the neurological or to the renal system? But so at the moment they have specific manufactured product, medicinal products, like for example your prescribed medications, which can be dispensed at the hospitals. So for the specific, like for example for sleep disturbance, or for the seizures control, or for the any neurological disorder. Okay, so at the moment, from what from from my observations when I was there, the the control at this point is quite unregulated. It means you can at the roadside or there's some night market, there's a store set up that they can sell without any consultations. So the person sold to you is just a normal general public, and they can sell at the different amount. So from what I've seen is, for example, the 1 gram, they're selling around RM 25 ringgit to 50 ringgit. And the 1 gram, then they use it, for example, as a, like the tobacco, they to use it through inhalations. So there's a lot of new development and also challenges that need to be addressed at the moment. So, but we can foresee that there will be more data or information will be shared by our Thai counterpart later on with his ongoing activities about the legalizations of cannabis use. So yeah, so let's look at the second questions on the conformity check. This one apply for registered product and also cosmetic. So it depends on the approvals. Some product they get the conditional approvals, then that means it can be either 1 year conditional approval, 2 years conditional approvals. So before the 3 months before the registrations approval lapse, then they should provide those informations or documents previously the being highlighted during the registration process. Okay, so for the cosmetic is 2 years. Before 2 years, then we need to renew, then you have to update again the notifications in the system. Okay. So if you have any further questions, you can also email me. Let me put in my email address. Now let's go into quickly the third part of my seminars. So I would like to use this opportunity to simulate one registration process using the online registration system. Okay, let me see if it's ready. Give me 1 minute, sir. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to unmute. Let me just say it again. So I've successfully logged in into the online registration system, which is called use the term is the Crestry. This one is managed by the National Pharmaceutical Regulatory Agency, of which is the health authorities, the regulatory authorities in Malaysia. Okay, now this one, if you see this part menu here, this is for the new registrations. The users can access their informations on the approved product before. Here, like for example, there's 5 notified cosmetic from this product holder. Okay, so if you see here under the product registrations, which is for the first part that we discussed, which include the traditional medicines. So if you look at the new application form, you have the new new drug product, or they call it NCE, biologic product, prescribed medications. This is for the, for example, your antihypertensive, anti-diabetic, non-prescribed, for example, your paracetamol, aspirin. Okay, natural products. This is just now we mentions the traditional medicines. Okay, you have the health supplements, including your vitamins, all these minerals. Okay, there's another category for the veterinary products, including those antibiotic for veterinary use, vaccines for veterinary use. Okay, so let's just take a quick look. Like for example, if you look at the natural products category, it also further divided into either general with therapeutic claims. They also have traditional general medicines under general categories and medium categories. Depends on their specific therapeutic use. So if I click on the general one, then it will show that similar to the SCTD categories that we have discussed, is further divided into each sections, including the non-clinical and the clinical use. Okay, so if let's say, for example, under product validations, then you look at what are the product names, then you can type here example, and then the approved product names. I just put any information so that it can go to the next page. Okay, now the product validations of the syringe dosage form. This one I'm not going to go through all, just merely give you an overview how all these things was done. So under the section A until E, they have different sections which required the different aspect of the informations to be added, okay, to be uploaded for to be assessed by the panels. Okay, so looking at the API, if you look at the compliance slide just now, including the API excipients, what kind of dosage form is that? The product descriptions, like for example, is this hard gelatin or hard capsules, or is it firm coated tablet? Okay, so you can look at the specific sections which have, so bear in mind those sections differ from different drug regulatory agencies. Okay, but most of the informations have been outlined under the SCTD. Okay, so you also have section S looking at the list of pharmaceutical ingredients. Okay, section P for the different, for example, here, manufacture informations, manufacturing process, and process control. So prior to the submissions, the applicants already have the list of informations to be included. So then they can upload one by one all these informations. And once completed, then they will take the declarations sections and then submit it once, and then it will be then assessed by the panels at the depending on the which therapeutic use, or like for example a biologic, they have the specific team of officers handling the biologic submissions. Okay, prescription, they have a specific group of departments. So these are all the non-clinical and clinical informations that should be uploaded, okay, for assessment purpose. Okay. So this one is for the medicines registrations. Let's take a quick look on the cosmetic aspect. So under there's an icon for cosmetic notifications. So for the new notifications, you click on the application form. Okay, if it's a product variant, this is, for example, within the same product, they have a different color, different shapes, or different perfume or fragrance. Okay. So if I click a new product, this is, for example, one single product. Then it will require me to input informations that I mentioned just now under the cosmetic guidelines. So the product name, for example, you can add in whatever name deemed necessary. And then this is the product type. And remember just now on the manufacturers, it should have GMP certifications. So for the local manufacturer, they have their list, and then the overseas manufacturers. Let's say if we look at the foreign manufacturers, let's say I just type. So this GMP manufacturers should be based in Surabaya. Yeah. It is actually no. Yeah, so it's already as is have been have a record, I mean registered before. Okay. Then the rest will be on the product formulation itself. Let's say now if you have ingredients, for example, which extract, you can have different type of herbs extract or plant extract. Okay, or let's say for example you including the peanut extract, and let's see, peanut oil. So this one, let's see, or oil. Then what are the ingredients? Okay, then you add it in. So this you have to comply. I mean, you have to follow what are the exact formulation used for the manufacturing of the product. So just now, sometimes we have some certain preservative, okay, which is have its limitations, upper limit that can be used. So you will see the substance in here, and then you have to then refer to the Annex 3 to see what is the amount allowed. Okay, with more than that, it shouldn't be allowed in for the use in the cosmetic. Okay, so then you put in all those percentages, and then click next. Will be then upload based on the guideline just now. What will be the product label And then the next one will be the letter authorizations from the manufacturer and also from the, if it's a overseas product, the original market holders. Okay, let's say for example L'Oreal or SK2, whatever other brands of pharmaceutical products. If you are the local distributors, then you have to get a appointment letters from the management of those company. Yep. So then next it will be uploaded. So yeah, technically these are the simulation, just a quick overview on the in term submissions of the dossier, okay, for the product approvals. Yeah, I guess this is all from me today. If you have further questions, please feel free to email me, and then I will look at your assignments, the assignment that you have done. I'll try to give individual feedback also, just to make sure that you have a full grasp of understanding on the requirement of a traditional or natural product registration in the selected country. Okay, so I pass the screen back to Unea. Anyone's still online? If not, then we can end today's sessions.
Sorry, Dr. Long.
Yeah,
Mr.
go ahead.
Anton have question for you. Yeah. Okay, silakan.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry before previously disclaimer that I didn't really follow the development of notification harmonization before. So thank you for the listen given to Dr. Long. As you mentioned that one of the advantage or benefit of this harmonization notification is that provide more choices of the cosmetic from several countries. As we all know, of course, the classic cosmetic maybe are of course the main choice for the community, both in terms of the brand, the quality, and the safety. With the entry of this well-known brand, what about the local product, which will find it difficult to develop again the well-known products? Will this harmonization be one of the factors that can hinder local producer? It seems that we know in Indonesian that like UMKM or local or small producer are one of the bigger parts of the Indonesian. But of course, that's not all. This is certainly a written for local producer to be able to appear aboard. But still, the local producer seems to find difficult to compete with the foreign products that already have brands in their own country.
Yeah,
and
thanks, Ago.
the second question I want to ask, how the cosmetic from the other continents like Europe or America enter the ASEAN? There is any regulation or saying? Thank you.
Thanks for your questions. Very good. Yeah, I forgot to touch on these two aspects. Thanks for raising the point. So I agree with you in terms of the small medium enterprise. This is mostly for the cosmetic manufacturer, because the startup costs, startup capitals to set up the GMP for cosmetic is much lower compared with for the prescribed medications. And surprisingly, you will find that there's a lot of the locally produced product either from Indonesia or from Malaysia, or can be found in the different part of the world, including in Brunei also. In fact, in Brunei also there are 2 or 3 GMP certified cosmetic manufacturer that do also imported to other part of the world. So just like to highlight also in fact, there is the stimulated by the online sales, the cosmetic industry is flourishing, really booming. We have quite a number. I guess it will be the same in Indonesia's. A lot of very young millionaires or YouTuber or influencer. Okay, they themselves, they are the spokesperson or the product holders for those cosmetic product. If you can see, there is a lot of local brands. I don't want to mention the example here, but they are really successful in terms of the sales and in terms of the penetrations into market. So that is the first part. That with this harmonization, in fact, it will be easier because if you see the regulations, it is not it is achievable. It is not too difficult to comply to those requirements, and as I mentioned, the startup cost also quite low. And so in terms of the competitiveness, this small medium enterprise, they in fact they can do well. Okay, and then a lot of them transform into a bigger companies. Like for example, there are a few that really make it big in the global markets. Maybe at the regions, not so into the global market, but in the region they are quite successful. There's a few brands. I don't want to mention the examples, but your second question is also very useful in the sense that from outside ASEAN, Asian, there are obviously there's those well-known brand. Just to highlight in terms of the regulations, in terms of the extent of the regulation is in fact more in the ASEAN region compared with the European countries. For example, certain product doesn't require notifications in for example in Europe, so they can manufacture and then can be sold without any regulatory registrations. But in the under the ASEAN Cosmetic Directive, actually, if you see the definitions, those are including lipsticks, including mascara, which fulfill the definitions of cosmetic, technically they should be notified before it is being marketed. And in this case, the registration fees involved also quite low. Like for example, the one I show you under the Quest 3, each cosmetic product to be notified is RM Malaysia Ringgit 50. Okay, which the notifications will last on the notification approval will be for 2 years. Then after 2 years, then they will notify again the same renewal charges of 50 ringgit will be charged. And that's why in that sense, we see a lot of locally produced product, from cosmetic product, is competing well with overseas product. We see a lot of demands for cosmetic from last time from Japan, now from Korea. That one also mainly because of the influence from the Korean culture. But a lot of times the locally made one, I'll see that it's also equally well. I also have some statistic. I just don't have it now. It's not on my fingertips. But there are some studies done showing that the local manufacturer, be it from different nationals entities, for example, from Indonesia or Malaysia, or from other part of ASEAN countries, they are doing well, okay, under this cosmetic directive. Yeah. I hope I answer your question well. In fact, yeah, I'm happy to provide further information. Okay,
Thank you, Dr. Long.
thanks. Any other questions? If not, we can call it a day. Since also the times. Any other comments or questions? Okay, if not, then we will meet again to further discuss on your assignments. Okay, we can have the tutorial sessions also. Feel free to write to me as I mentioned. Okay. Okay, thank you very much,
Dr. Long,
for
for your
organizing.
next lecture today. Okay, see you next week. Thank you.
Take care, everyone.